John had always been curious about the smaller corners of the galaxy, places where humans rarely went and where the unusual seemed normal. The spaceport city where he lived was bustling, with starships of all shapes and sizes landing and departing at all hours. Trade ships from dozens of alien worlds brought goods and ideas. Some strange, some beautiful, and some he couldn't even begin to understand. But John had a particular fascination with little markets and bazaars tucked away in quiet corners of the city. That's where he felt most at home, surrounded by tiny trinkets, alien fabrics, and the scent of spices he couldn't name. It was a rare day off for John. His work as an engineer aboard freighter kept him busy, traveling between star systems, fixing engines, and recalibrating navigation systems. He didn't often get a chance to wander, so when he saw the small signs pointing to a lesser-known bazaar, he couldn't resist. The alleyway leading into the market was narrow, almost forgotten, and the moment he stepped inside, he was greeted by a vibrant chaos. Stalls overflowing with bright fabrics, alien jewelry, curious mechanical devices, and glowing liquids filled the space. The air hummed with multiple languages, laughter, and bartering. John moved slowly, examining everything carefully. Most of the items were fascinating, but far beyond what a casual shopper like him could buy. But then he saw a tiny stall tucked into the corner, almost as if it wanted to be overlooked. The stall was simple, made of dark metal and wood, with a few small shelves holding items that seemed ordinary. On the top shelf lay a collection of rings, small and unassuming. John was drawn to one in particular. It was a plain silver band, thin and simple. But there was something about the way it reflected the light that caught his eye. He lifted it carefully, feeling its smooth weight in his hand. The stall owner, an alien with soft, shimmering skin and eyes that glowed faintly, watched him silently. "It is yours," the alien said, voice melodic and calm. "It waits for the one who chooses it." John chuckled lightly. "I just like simple rings," he said. "Nothing fancy." He handed over some credits and took the ring, tucking it into his pocket. The alien nodded, almost imperceptibly, as if it had been expecting this. At home, John examined the ring more closely. It was simple, elegant in its minimalism. He turned it over in his fingers, sliding it along his finger, and felt an unusual warmth emanate from it. He shrugged, thinking it was just his imagination. That night, as he sat in his small apartment overlooking the city lights, he decided to try it on. The moment the ring touched his finger, he felt a sharp, tingling sensation. His fingers tingled. Then the warmth spread up his hand and forearm. The room darkened briefly, as if a shadow had passed over the lights. John frowned and tried to remove the ring, but it would not budge. Panic bubbled inside him. He tugged gently, then harder, but the ring clung tightly. He froze as a soft glow emerged from the ring, illuminating the room with a gentle blue light. Then, almost imperceptibly, a voice spoke in his mind. "Mate, you are chosen." He dropped the ring onto the table, but it remained attached to his finger. His heart pounded, and he could feel a strange connection, as if someone else's presence were in the room with him. He stood up, stepping back, but the sensation only intensified. His curiosity battled with fear. Who or what was choosing him? He spent the next few hours pacing, trying to calm himself. He examined the ring under different lights, even tried scanning it with his small personal analyzer, but the device read it as simple silver. There was nothing extraordinary detectable with human technology, yet he could feel it the subtle pull like an invisible hand guiding his thoughts, nudging him towards something he could not see. Over the next day, John noticed small, strange changes. He began dreaming vividly, more so than usual. In his dreams, he was in another place entirely, a world bathed in pale light, with structures that seemed to float and glow. He could feel the presence of someone there, someone watching, someone waiting. Every time he woke, the memory of the dream lingered. Leaving him with a sense of anticipation and unease, John tried to tell himself it was just his imagination. He had always been imaginative, after all. But the ring refused to come off, and the dreams continued. It became harder to focus on work and daily life. Even the familiar noises of the spaceport, The roar of engines, the chatter of merchants, the constant hum of activity felt distant and muted. He felt drawn inward, toward the connection that pulsed from the ring. Worried, John sought advice. He contacted an interstellar historian he knew, someone who specialized in alien cultures and artifacts. He described the ring, the glow, and the sensation. After a long pause, the historian's voice came through, tinged with a mixture of surprise and concern. "You have a bond," the historian said carefully. "A marriage bond. It is Illyrian. I have only seen references in ancient texts. They are very rare and extremely significant. They choose a mate, and the bond is real, spiritual, legal, and emotional. Once it attaches, it cannot be removed without extreme measures. You are linked." John's hands shook. "Linked to? Who?" "That is the part you do not know yet. The bond selects the other party. You will meet them when the bond decides the time is right. You cannot interfere. The ring chooses, not the human. You are chosen as the mate." John felt a wave of disbelief and fear. An alien marriage bond? How could this happen to him? He was just a normal human, a simple engineer. He had bought a ring on a whim, expecting nothing more than a pretty accessory, and now his life had changed in ways he could not yet imagine. That night, as he lay awake, he could feel the pulse of the ring, steady and unyielding. The dreams came again, brighter and clearer. He saw a figure in the distance, glowing and radiant, waiting for him. He wanted to look away, to ignore it, but something inside him told him he could not. The connection was growing stronger, a magnetic pull he could not resist. By the time the morning sun filtered through his window, John knew his life would never be the same. The simple ring he had bought as a trinket was more than a piece of jewelry. It was a bridge to another world, another being, another life. Fear, curiosity, and a strange excitement mingled inside him. He didn't know what lay ahead. One thing was certain: the journey had already begun. John took a deep breath and looked at the ring. He didn't know how or why he had been chosen, but he felt a spark of determination. Somehow he would face whatever this bond required. Somehow he would meet the one he was bound to. And somehow he would find a way to navigate the strange and beautiful path that had opened before him, all because of a simple, unassuming ring. The city outside moved on, oblivious to the quiet drama unfolding in John's apartment. Ships came and went, traders shouted their wares, and aliens of all kinds walked past. But for John, everything had changed. He was no longer just a human engineer. He was a chosen mate, bound by an alien tradition older than most civilizations he had ever known. And as he prepared for what the next days might bring, he realized that curiosity and courage would be the only tools he had to navigate this new reality. The next morning, John woke with a lingering sense of unease. The glow from the ring still clung softly to his finger, pulsing faintly as though it had its own heartbeat. He tried again to remove it, twisting and tugging, but it remained stubbornly in place. Each movement of his hand seemed to send a ripple of warmth up his arm. A part of him wanted to panic, but another part, the curious and rational part that had made him an engineer, wanted to understand. He decided to take a walk to clear his mind. The city was waking up, bustling with ships and pedestrians from countless worlds. Vendors set up their stalls, and the smell of alien spices mixed with the sharp temps of machinery and fuel. As John moved through the streets, he felt the ring pull slightly, almost like a compass, guiding him somewhere he didn't yet know. He followed the sensation out of habit, down alleys and across bridges, connecting different districts, until he reached a quieter part of the city he rarely visited. There, nestled among towering buildings with iridescent panels, was a small library that specialized in alien culture and history. John pushed open the heavy doors and stepped inside. The interior smelled faintly of old paper and machine oil, and rows of books and digital tablets lined the walls. A few other visitors moved silently between the shelves. John approached the front desk. The librarian, an elderly alien with translucent skin and gentle eyes, looked up. "Can I help you?" The librarian asked in a soft, musical tone that seemed to echo slightly in the quiet space. I have a question, John said cautiously. I bought a ring yesterday from a bazaar. It seems to have attached itself to me. I think it's not human. I was told it might be an Illyrian marriage bond. The librarian's eyes widened slightly, though her expression remained composed. I see, she said, gesturing for him to follow. She led him down a narrow corridor to a room lined with old texts and data tablets. Illyrian artifacts are rare, and such bonds are rarer still. If the ring has chosen you, it is a serious matter. These bonds are designed to link to beings across worlds, connecting them in ways both physical and spiritual. John swallowed hard. I don't even know what that means. Am I married? To someone I've never met? The librarian nodded slowly. In your culture, marriage is usually a choice. Among the Illyrians, the bond chooses first, then the individuals discover the connection. It is not meant to be coerced or broken lightly. The bond is a form of trust and recognition. You have been chosen because you possess qualities they value: courage, kindness, adaptability. The other party will appear when the bond determines the time is right. John ran a hand through his hair, feeling overwhelmed. This is unbelievable. How do I even prepare for something like this? You don't prepare, the librarian said gently. You live as you would, and the bond will guide you. You will know when the time comes. And you must remember, the bond is not only binding, but protective. It will help both of you find each other, and in doing so, it will guide your actions and decisions. John left the library with a mixture of fear and curiosity swirling inside him. He walked the streets slowly, thinking about the strange dreams he had been having. Each night, the same glowing figure appeared, sometimes close, sometimes distant, but always watching, always waiting. The librarian's words now made sense. The bond was leading him, and he had no choice but to follow its guidance. Back in his apartment, John examined the ring again. He turned it over in his hand, studying the smooth silver surface. Despite its simplicity, he felt a growing sense of responsibility. This was no ordinary accessory. It was a symbol of a connection that spanned not only worlds, but understanding itself. He realized that curiosity alone would not be enough. Courage, patience, and empathy would be required. As the days passed, John began noticing subtle changes in himself. His senses felt sharper, his reactions quicker. He could almost feel the presence of the Illyrian on the other end of the bond, though he could not yet see or hear them. At first, it was unsettling, a constant, invisible reminder that he was no longer alone. But gradually, he started to appreciate it. He found that he could anticipate minor events before they happened. A small device in his workshop would behave differently than expected, or supply delivery would arrive moments before he needed it. It was as if the bond had begun influencing his awareness, sharpening his instincts. He tried to continue his work normally, but it was difficult. The freighter he was assigned to required constant attention, from engine maintenance to navigational systems. Yet the ring's presence seemed to guide him subtly, helping him avoid mistakes and notice details others might miss. His colleagues began complimenting his performance, unaware that an alien bond was enhancing his abilities. John smiled quietly to himself, a mix of pride and disbelief. He was doing well, not only because of his own skills, but because of the mysterious connection that guided him. One evening, after finishing his work, John decided to test the limits of the ring's influence. He focused his thoughts, trying to sense the bond more clearly. The glow from the ring intensified slightly, and a warm sensation spread through his chest. Then, for the first time, he heard a faint whisper, not words, but impressions, a presence, gentle and curious, reaching out to him. It was not threatening, only observing. John felt a surge of emotion, excitement mixed with caution. He realized that he had a choice, to ignore it or to embrace it. He chose to embrace it. The following night, John experienced another vivid dream. This time, the Illyrian world appeared more clearly. Structures floated in the air, glowing softly. A figure stood at the edge of a platform, looking toward him. He could not see their features clearly, but he felt their intelligence, their patience, and their curiosity. The figure raised a hand in greeting, and a feeling of warmth and recognition washed over him. When he awoke, his heart was pounding. He knew the bond was real, and he knew that this figure, whoever they were, had chosen him. The days turned into a week, and John grew more accustomed to the presence of the bond. He still could not remove the ring, and he still did not know when the Illyrian would appear. But he began to see the experience not as a burden, but as an opportunity. He had always admired alien cultures, and now he had a chance to be part of one in a deeply personal way. He spent time researching more about Illyrian customs, reading old texts, and consulting digital records. The Illyrians valued harmony, intellect, and courage. Their bonds were meant to create partnerships that could face any challenge together, blending strength and understanding. John realized that his human traits, ingenuity, persistence, and empathy were exactly what the bond had recognized. The more he learned, the more he understood that he had been chosen not by chance, but because of who he was. Despite the growing understanding, anxiety lingered. What would the Illyrian be like? Would they accept him as he was? Could he live up to the expectations of a bond that spanned worlds? Each night he clutched the ring, feeling the pulse of its warmth as if it were reassuring him. He began speaking to it quietly, sharing his thoughts, hopes, and fears, half expecting the bond to respond. While no words came, the glow seemed to brighten slightly, as if acknowledging him. Then one evening, the city was quiet, the usual hum of activity muted by a sudden storm. Rain fell in heavy sheets, bouncing off the rooftops and soaking the streets. John sat by the window, staring at the silver band on his finger. The glow was stronger tonight, steady and calm. Suddenly, a ripple of energy passed through him, stronger than before, and he felt as though someone or something was standing just behind him. He turned slowly, expecting to see a shadow or a trick of the light, but the room was empty. Still, the presence was undeniable. A voice, soft and clear, spoke in his mind. "I am near. Do not fear." John froze, then took a deep breath. The bond was guiding him, preparing him for the moment they would meet. He realized that fear was natural, but it would not control him. Curiosity and courage would. He spent the night awake, thinking, planning, imagining the first meeting, wondering what the Illyrian would look like, what they would say, and how they would feel about him. By the next morning, John felt a shift within himself. The bond had changed him. He was no longer just a human engineer. He was someone chosen, someone connected to a world he had only dreamed of. He could feel the pull of destiny, subtle but persistent, guiding him forward. And though he did not know when or how the Illyrian would appear, he understood one thing clearly. His life had been forever changed by a simple ring, a choice made by an alien culture, and a bond that could not be broken. John's curiosity had led him here, and now courage would carry him forward. The journey was only beginning, and he was ready to face it, one step at a time. John had spent countless nights staring at the silver band on his finger, the glow steady and soft, wondering when the bond would finally reveal itself in full. He had grown used to the sensation, the strange warmth that sometimes pulsed as if it were a heartbeat. Yet, despite the familiarity, anticipation, and anxiety coiled tightly inside him, he did not know when the moment would come, nor what to expect. The bond had guided him this far, but it had not revealed the other side until tonight. It started subtly. While he was cleaning his small apartment, the glow of the ring intensified suddenly. The soft hum in the air grew louder, though the room was empty. Papers on his desk fluttered as if caught in a gentle wind, and John felt the unmistakable presence of someone else in intelligence. Warm and alert, just outside his perception, a soft, shimmering light appeared near the center of the room. John froze, heart pounding. At first, it was a blur, a ripple in the air. Then, slowly, the form resolved. Standing before him was an Illyrian. She was taller than any human, graceful in every movement, with iridescent skin that caught the light in shifting patterns. Her eyes, large and luminous, regarded him with curiosity and intelligence. Her hair, long and silver, seemed to flow even without wind. She radiated a calm confidence, but there was warmth in her gaze that immediately put John slightly at ease. You. John started, but words failed him. The presence of the Illyrian, combined with the undeniable reality of the bond, left him momentarily speechless. You are John, the Illyrian said softly, in a voice that was melodic yet clear, resonating directly in his mind. The bond has chosen you. I am Liara. I am the one bound to you. A cautious step back, his mind racing. I don't understand. This is real? Liara nodded. It is real. The bond chose you because you possess qualities our people value: courage, honesty, and a heart that seeks understanding. You are human, yet you meet the ideals the bond requires. We are connected now, whether you realize it or not. He stared at her, the words echoing in his mind. A mixture of fear, wonder, and awe swirled inside him. All his research, all the books he had read about Illyrian culture, all his dreams, the ring, the glow, the pullet, was all true. This was real. He was bound to an alien being in a way humans rarely experienced. I don't know what to say, John admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. He felt exposed, as though someone had pulled back the veil on a world he had never imagined. You do not need to speak, Liara said, taking a careful step forward. The bond communicates in ways beyond words. Feel it, accept it. The connection is mutual. I am learning about you as you are learning about me. John swallowed hard. He focused on the warmth of the ring, the pulse of the connection. Slowly, he realized he could sense Liara, not just as a presence, but as a mind and awareness, gentle yet bright. It was subtle, almost like feeling the mood of a room, but sharper, more alive. I've never met an alien like you before, John said finally. I don't know if I can. You can, Liara interrupted gently, smiling faintly. You have been chosen. That is the first step. Now comes understanding. I am not here to harm or judge. I am here because the bond requires it. We are partners in this, bound by trust and responsibility. John nodded slowly, still overwhelmed, but comforted by the sincerity in her presence. He realized that fear was natural, but curiosity and respect would be his guides. He could feel the intelligence and patience in her. And for the first time since the bond attached, he felt the possibility of connection, not just duty, but mutual understanding over the next hours. John and Liara began to communicate more clearly. Words flowed in his mind, though he occasionally spoke aloud. She explained the traditions of the Illyrians. The bond was a test of character as much as a union of destinies. It was meant to challenge both partners to grow, to support one another, and to face dangers together. John listened intently. He shared stories of Earth, of human ingenuity, and of the simple joys and struggles of life as a human engineer. Liara's responses were filled with curiosity. She asked questions about human habits, tools, and emotions, marveling at the creativity and adaptability that humans exhibited. In turn, she explained Illyrian life, their floating cities, the philosophies of connection and harmony, and the advanced technology that humans often only dreamed of. By the end of the night, John had begun to relax. The fear had not vanished entirely, but it had shifted into anticipation. He could feel Liara's intelligence and warmth as clearly as if she were standing beside him. He was beginning to realize that this bond was not merely ceremonial. It was a living connection, growing stronger by mutual attention and understanding. The next few days were a blur of discovery. Liara remained present through the bond, sometimes visible, sometimes only as a presence in his mind. She guided him subtly, helping him understand minor anomalies in the city, and even assisting him with technical work in ways that felt like intuition. John's colleagues noticed subtle improvements in his efficiency and problem-solving, though they had no idea why. During one particular incident, John's freighter needed urgent repair. A critical component had malfunctioned, threatening a delayed departure. He worked through the night, guided by instincts that seemed sharper, faster. Liara's presence was steady beside him, suggesting minor adjustments and observing potential mistakes before they occurred. By morning, the engine was repaired and the freighter was ready. John realized with a quiet sense of awe that the bond enhanced his abilities, not in a magical way, but by connecting him with a being whose awareness complemented his own. But not all moments were calm. One afternoon, a small group of humans and aliens in the market noticed John speaking softly to himself, unaware that Lyra's voice was in his mind. Some laughed, others frowned, whispering rumors about strange behavior. John ignored them, focusing on the bond. Lyra reassured him. The bond was private, sacred, and misunderstood by those who had not experienced it. He began to feel a sense of pride and responsibility. He was chosen, yes, but he had to rise to the challenge, embodying the qualities that the bond valued. As the bond deepened, John began noticing emotional changes. He felt empathy more acutely, not just toward Lyra, but toward others around him. His reactions to danger or stress became more deliberate, less impulsive. He realized that the connection was teaching him, helping him refine his instincts, and shaping him into someone capable of being a partner to a being far beyond human comprehension. One evening, as the city lights flickered and ships glided across the sky, John sat on the edge of his apartment balcony. Lyra's presence was beside him, luminous and calm. "You are learning quickly," she said, her tone almost gentle praise. "The bond is not easy, but you are embracing it. That is rare for a human." John chuckled softly. "I never expected this," he admitted. "I thought I was buying a simple ring. And now this." He looked at her, feeling a connection that went beyond words. "I'm not sure I fully understand everything yet, but I want to try." "You are willing," Lyra replied. "That is enough for now. The rest will come with time. We will face challenges together, and you will discover your strengths. You are human, and that is your gift." Days turned into a week, and John and Lyra's partnership grew. Small acts of cooperation, shared learning, and mutual respect strengthened the bond. John showed Lyra the creativity and resilience that humans possessed. Lyra shared the wisdom and perspective of her species. The bond was no longer a source of fear or uncertainty. It was a connection that shaped and guided them both. Then, an unexpected challenge arose. A minor accident in the city, a malfunctioning transportation pod, threatened the safety of nearby civilians. John and Lyra, guided by the bond, acted swiftly. John used his engineering skills, while Lyra assisted through subtle manipulation of energy fields and intuitive guidance. Together, they resolved the crisis, saving lives and earning the cautious respect of those who witnessed their cooperation. John felt a surge of pride not for himself alone, but for the strength of their partnership. By the end of the week, John finally understood a crucial truth. The Illyrian bond was not a constraint or a trap. It was a partnership built on trust, courage, and shared destiny. The ring had chosen him, yes, but it had also chosen him for a purpose: to grow, to face challenges, and to discover the potential of human and Illyrian collaboration. As John sat in his apartment, Lyra's presence warm and comforting beside him, he felt a sense of calm determination. The bond was real, the connection was profound, and the journey ahead was uncertain, but filled with possibility. Fear had given way to curiosity, awe, and responsibility. The simple ring that had seemed ordinary when he bought it was now the key to an extraordinary life, one that would take him beyond the limits of his human experience, into partnership with a being from another world. And for the first time, John smiled, fully ready to meet whatever the bond and the universe would demand of him next. The days that followed brought a rhythm that John had never experienced before. Life in the spaceport city continued around. Hymn ships arrived and departed. Vendors shouted their wares, and travelers of all species moved about, but John and Lyra existed in a quiet bubble within that chaos. Their bond had grown stronger, a subtle but steady connection that guided their thoughts, instincts, and emotions. John had begun to understand the depth of what the ring represented. It was more than a token or symbol. It was a partnership, a living connection that demanded courage, empathy, trust. Lyra often accompanied him invisibly at first, her presence a gentle guidance he could feel but not see. She helped him navigate small challenges, like adjusting a shipment schedule at work or recalibrating a navigation system on the freighter. Over time, she revealed herself fully, spending hours with him, teaching him about Illyrian technology, culture, and philosophy. She marveled at human creativity and ingenuity, often asking questions that made John think more deeply about his own world. Their partnership began to face its first real test one afternoon. John was at a maintenance hub, inspecting the engine of a freighter, when an urgent alarm sounded. The city's transport grid had malfunctioned, leaving a passenger shuttle suspended in the air above a crowded district. Panic spread among the nearby pedestrians, and emergency crews scrambled to respond. John felt a surge of instinctive urgency. The bond pulsed, and he could feel Liara beside him, alert and ready. "John, we need to act quickly," she said, her voice clear in his mind. "The shuttle is unstable. If it falls, many will be injured." John nodded, feeling his nerves sharpened, but his mind focused. He immediately assessed the situation. Considering the mechanical aspects he understood, the shuttle's support field had failed, leaving only partial stabilization. He could see the risk of collapse if the current was not redirected. Liara offered guidance, showing him subtle ways to manipulate the energy with her abilities, which were beyond human understanding. Working together, they coordinated their efforts. John recalibrated the mechanical stabilizers, while Liara adjusted the energy flow to compensate for the failing systems. Sweat ran down his face, but he stayed steady, responding to Lyra's silent cues and his own instincts. The crowd below watched, some in awe, others in disbelief, as the floating shuttle trembled but did not fall. Finally, with a careful adjustment, the shuttle stabilized fully, and the passengers inside cheered, oblivious to the teamwork happening just above them. When the immediate danger passed, John leaned against the railing, breathing heavily. Liara appeared fully beside him, her presence solid and reassuring. "You acted well," she said softly. "You remained calm, focused, and resourceful. That is why the bond chose you." John smiled, exhausted but proud. "I couldn't have done it without you," he admitted. "I've never faced anything like this before. I didn't even know what to expect when this bond started." Liara looked at him, her eyes reflecting a mix of admiration and warmth. "The bond is not just about protection. It is about growth. Every challenge we face together strengthens it. You are learning quickly, John." Despite their success, the incident sparked unease. Word spread quickly in the city about the human who had helped stabilize the shuttle with the aid of an unknown presence. Some celebrated him as a hero, while others whispered suspicions. Among the Illyrian community, some questioned his worthiness, debating whether a human could truly uphold the responsibilities of such a bond. John felt the weight of their scrutiny, even as he remained focused on learning and cooperating with Liara. That evening, John and Liara sat together in his apartment, reviewing the events of the day. Liara explained more about Illyrian society, particularly their views on partnerships and bonds. She told him that bonds were not granted lightly, and that challenges were often designed to test the chosen, mate's character and abilities. "Your courage and creativity were recognized not just by me, but by the bond itself," she said. "You are becoming what you were meant to be." John listened carefully, absorbing every word. He realized that the bond was teaching him patience, resilience, and empathy. It was not just a connection between two beings, but a guide to becoming a better version of himself. He began to feel a sense of pride, not in the way most humans measured success, but in the understanding that he was growing into someone capable of meaningful partnership with a being far beyond human comprehension. The following days brought more challenges, though less immediately dangerous. John began helping Liara with minor diplomatic matters, learning about the delicate balance between different alien cultures and human interests. He discovered that the bond allowed him to sense subtle cue stones of voice, slight shifts in posture, even the intentions behind actions that most humans would miss. He began applying this awareness in negotiations, solving misunderstandings before they escalated, and earning cautious respect from those he worked with. During this time, John noticed another change in himself. He became more attuned to the emotions of those around him, responding with empathy and understanding. The bond with Liara seemed to amplify his natural instincts, teaching him to listen, observe, and act with both care and precision. He began to see human potential in a new light, not just his own, but the possibilities for humanity when paired with understanding, trust, and collaboration with other species. One afternoon, while walking through a quieter district of the city, John and Liara encountered a small crisis. A group of alien children had wandered into a restricted area, unaware of the dangers posed by unstable machinery. John acted instinctively, guiding them to safety, while Liara subtly manipulated the environment to prevent accidents. The bond allowed them to anticipate each other's movements, working seamlessly as a team. The children were unharmed, and their guardians expressed gratitude. Though they could not understand the invisible coordination that had saved them, afterward, John reflected on the day. He realized that the bond was not simply about extraordinary events or heroism, it was about the small, quiet moments of care, awareness, and cooperation. It was about the choices he made, the empathy he showed, and the courage he exercised in everyday life. Liara had become not just a presence in his mind, but a partner in learning, growth, and action as evening fell. The city lights casting long shadows across the streets, John and Liara returned to his apartment. They shared a quiet moment, reflecting on their progress and the challenges they had faced together. John felt a deep sense of connection, not just with Liara, but with the potential that lay within himself. The bond had chosen him, yes, but it was also shaping him into someone capable of meeting the responsibilities and opportunities it presented that night. John held the ring, now glowing faintly with the bond's presence. He felt a surge of determination and understanding. Fear and uncertainty remained, but they were tempered by courage, empathy, and curiosity. He realized that the bond was not a burden, but a guide, a partner, and a source of strength. With Liara by his side, he knew he could face whatever challenges awaited, whether in the city, among the stars, or in the unexplored reaches of alien worlds. For the first time, John understood the true meaning of the bond. It was not simply about being chosen, it was about choosing to rise to the occasion, to grow, to face challenges, and to embrace the partnership fully. The simple ring he had bought as a whim had transformed his life, connecting him to an alien being, a new world, and a path of discovery and growth he could never have imagined as he drifted to sleep that night. John felt Lyra's presence beside him, steady and comforting. The city outside continued its busy hum, but within his apartment there was a quiet certainty. The bond was strong, their partnership real, and the journey ahead full of possibilities. He was ready to face whatever came next, guided by courage, curiosity, and the connection that had forever changed his life. John woke up early that morning, the soft glow of dawn filtering through the window of his small apartment. The air was calm, but something felt different. The ring on his finger shimmered faintly, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. He sat on the edge of his bed, quietly watching it. Each pulse felt alive, almost as if it was breathing with him. Liora's voice, soft and familiar, reached him in his mind. "It's time, John," turned toward her. She stood near the window, bathed in golden light, her iridescent skin reflecting faint hues of blue and silver. Even after everything they had been through, he sometimes forgot how extraordinary she looked. "Time for what?" he asked. "For the choice," she replied. "The bond must be acknowledged by both sides in full. Once done, it becomes permanent, not only spiritually, but in every sense. We will be united completely. It is what the Illyrians call the final alignment." John took a deep breath. He knew this moment would come. He had thought about it for weeks, ever since the accident with the shuttle. Since the Illyrian Council started questioning his worthiness, he knew that if he chose to accept the bond completely, there would be no turning back. It meant leaving behind his old life in many ways, stepping into a future he couldn't fully predict. Liara stepped closer, her expression calm but earnest. "You have proven yourself many times. But this is not about proof or worth. It is about choice. The bond began by destiny, but it can only continue by will. Do you wish it to remain, John?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked to the window, looking at the skyline of the city. Ships were already taking off from the distant launch pads, leaving trails of light against the morning sky. Humanity was reaching for the stars, step by step. He thought about his own journey from being an ordinary engineer to standing beside a being from another world. He remembered the fear, the confusion, the laughter, and the strange moments of peace that came from simply talking with her. Finally, he turned to her. "Yes," he said quietly. "I choose to keep it. Not because it's easy, but because it feels right." Liara's eyes softened. The ring glowed brighter, responding to his words. A gentle warmth spread through the room, like sunlight breaking through mist. She reached out, placing her hand over his. The moment their fingers touched, the air shimmered around them. The ring expanded slightly, glowing with pure light before settling again. "You have completed the bond," Liara said. "From this moment on, our connection will never fade. You are my equal, my partner, and my link to your world." John felt something shift inside him, a deep calm, mixed with a powerful sense of clarity. The connection between them was no longer just a whisper in his thoughts. It was a steady presence, a harmony of minds. He could sense her emotions clearly now: serenity, gratitude, and a quiet pride. As the glow faded, the silence in the room felt peaceful. They stood together, watching the sunlight rise higher. For a long moment, there were no words, only understanding. Later that morning, they walked through the city together. For the first time, Liara appeared openly beside him, no longer concealing her identity. People stared, some in surprise, others in awe. John noticed that the fear he once expected was not as strong as he thought. Instead, there was curiosity and even respect. They stopped by the central spaceport, where ships came and went endlessly. Liara explained that a council meeting would soon take place. The Illyrian delegation wished to speak with John personally. It was time, she said, for the bond to be recognized formally. When they arrived, the great hall of the council was filled with beings from different worlds: humans, Illyrians, and several other species John couldn't even name. The atmosphere was tense. Many had heard of the bond between a human and an Illyrian, but few believed it was possible for such a connection to last. An elder Illyrian, tall and graceful with pale golden eyes, stood at the center of the chamber. His voice carried authority. "Liara of Illyria," he said, "you have bonded outside our kind. This has not been done for many cycles. You claim this human as your chosen partner. Do you stand by this bond fully?" Liara bowed her head respectfully. "I do," she said clearly. The bond was not forced. It was formed by destiny and confirmed by choice. He has proven the values we cherish: compassion and understanding. The elder turned his gaze to John. "And you, human, do you accept what this bond represents? Do you understand its weight? It ties not just to lives, but to worlds." John took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Yes," he said, "I do. I didn't understand it at first, but I've learned that the bond isn't about control or ownership. It's about trust and shared growth. I accept it completely, and I'll honor it." The hall grew quiet. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the elder nodded slowly. "So be it," he said. "May this union serve as a bridge between our peoples." As he spoke, the ring on John's hand glowed again, this time brighter than ever. A soft wave of light spread outward, touching every being in the hall. The Illyrians looked on in wonder. It was said that when a bond of this kind was completed in truth, it released an energy that reflected harmony. What they saw now was proof that it was real. After the ceremony, John and Liara walked outside, feeling the weight of the moment lift. For the first time, John realized what he had truly become: a bridge between species, a living symbol of cooperation. Liara smiled, sensing his thoughts. "You see now," she said, "the bond was never meant to limit you. It was meant to open you." Days turned into weeks, and their partnership became a symbol throughout the spaceport and beyond. Together, they began working on new projects that combined human engineering with Illyrian energy technology. John found that his creativity flourished in ways he never imagined. Liara's insights allowed him to build systems that were both efficient and elegant. They developed a small research station on one of the moons, orbiting a nearby planet, a place where humans and Illyrians could collaborate. Scientists, engineers, and thinkers from both sides gathered to learn from each other. John often stood on the viewing deck at night, looking down at the glowing surface of the planet below. The stars reflected on the glass, endless and bright. Liara would join him there, her presence as calm as the stars themselves. Sometimes they would speak of simple things, human music, Illyrian stories, or the way the stars looked different depending on where you stood. Other times, they would talk about the future, how the bond could inspire others to look past fear and differences. One night, John looked at her and said, "You know, when I first bought this ring, I just wanted something interesting. I had no idea it would change my life." Liara smiled. "Sometimes the universe hides destiny in the smallest things," she said. "A simple ring can carry the power to change the course of two worlds." Now John laughed softly. "You Illyrians sure know how to make simple jewelry complicated." She tilted her head playfully. "And you humans have a way of making the impossible happen." Their laughter echoed in the quiet station, a sound that carried warmth even in the cold vacuum of space. As months passed, reports began to arrive from other parts of the galaxy. Some Illyrians expressed new interest in humanity, seeking partnerships and cultural exchanges. Human scientists visited Illyria, learning from their advanced systems while sharing their own innovations. It wasn't always easy. Misunderstandings happened, but the bond between John and Liara stood as proof that cooperation was possible. Through all of this, John never forgot the beginning, the small shop in the market, the glowing ring, the strange voice that called him mate. He sometimes wondered about the old vendor who sold it to him. Perhaps it was fate, or perhaps someone had known what the ring would do. Either way, he was grateful. Years later, John and Liara stood together on the surface of a newly colonized world, a joint human-Illyrian project. The air was thin but breathable, and the horizon glowed with two suns setting side by side. Around them, teams of humans and Illyrians worked together, building new structures that blended both architectural styles. John looked out over the landscape. "It's strange," he said. "All this started with a ring I bought because I thought it looked cool." Liara smiled. "Sometimes the smallest choices lead to the greatest paths." He nodded, watching the suns dip lower. "Do you ever think about how different things could have been if I hadn't bought it?" "I do," she admitted softly. "But then destiny finds a way. If not that ring, perhaps another path. What matters is that you chose to embrace it when the moment came." John turned toward her. "Yeah," he said, smiling, "and I'd choose it again." As night fell, the stars appeared, millions of them scattered across the dark sky. The two stood quietly, their hands intertwined. The faint glow of the ring reflecting the starlight. The bond was complete. The connection between human and Illyrian was no longer just a story out, was living proof that two very different worlds could meet halfway and thrive together. John closed his eyes for a moment. Feeling the steady rhythm of the bond within him, he could sense Liara's presence, her calm strength, and her silent pride. He felt the warmth of belonging not to one world, but to both, and in that vast, endless sky, under two suns and 1,000 stars. The man who once bought a simple ring knew that he had found something far greater than he ever imagined. It wasn't magic. It wasn't destiny alone. It was connection, real, fragile, beautiful connection that had changed everything.